Hey everyone, welcome to our thrilling tale today. We're going to talk about some spine-chilling supernatural events that will keep you awake at night. Cameron saw this and called her out. Stop the jokes. Save those touching words for your family and wife. It's both funny and awkward. Cameron felt that every time she stepped into these haunted homes, she carried an air of superiority, almost like an amusing alien making their presence feel distant. She told Goodman his job was a perfect mix of arrogance and weakness, leaving him utterly confused. Goodman was about to bolt when Cameron suddenly stopped her, handing over 3 reports on supernatural incidents with a swagger. Cameron confessed these cases left her scratching her head, hoping Goodman could help investigate, and then come back and tell her the real scoop. Give it your all. So her conclusion is, there really are some unexplainable supernatural forces around us. Want to debunk my theory? Then go investigate. Even with a million questions swirling in her mind, Goodman bravely set off on her 3-stop adventure. As she stepped out, she couldn't help but glance back. This topic just wouldn't let her go. Goodman arrived at the first haunted report, in front of the charming fellow named Tony. She inquired about the details of Tony's haunted experience, but to get the scoop, she first asked a few personal questions. Are you married? Anyone else? Tony replied, I'm married, my wife's dead. He said his wife left behind a daughter, but unfortunately, the daughter was seriously ill, able to move only her head. With that, Tony regained his composure and began narrating the spine-tingling events. He was a night shift worker, clocking in those witching hours without fail. At night, just like any other, he was dozing off in the duty room when suddenly the whole place went dark. A total fright night. Thinking it was just a circuit issue, he set his teacup down to check outside, imagining this little blackout crisis was no biggie. But when he returned inside, to his astonishment, the teacup was mysteriously at the door. Tony was thoroughly puzzled. This is just hilarious, he thought, but shrugged it off and returned to his seat. It wasn't long before the room went dark again, and he snapped time to investigate. He discovered someone had pulled the wires and left creepy scratch marks behind. Armed with a flashlight, he searched for the culprit but was startled to see a girl in yellow. She vanished in a flash. After seeing this, he was completely rattled. Back in the room, he tried contacting his colleagues, but the walkie-talkie emitted eerie noises, followed by a knock at the door. Gathering his courage, Tony grabbed a hammer and opened the door. The eerie sounds from the basement made his heart race, and instinctively he followed the noise. Upon reaching room 92, he heard crying inside. The door stood slightly open, as if inviting him in. With flashlight, he lit up the room and spotted a cloth-covered figure in a corner, instinctively wanting to check. As he lifted the cloth, he found the mannequin dressed as a patient, as if to say, "Welcome to my world." But just then, the door slammed shut. Tony panicked, desperately trying to escape. It was utterly chaotic. The lights in the room went out again, and as he frantically waved his flashlight, the little girl reappeared, her face horrifyingly decayed. Tony was frozen in shock, and the girl called out "Daddy" while gripping tightly onto him. The story halts here, and Goodman believes all this is just a hallucination from Tony's family burdens. After all, losing his wife and taking care of his daughter has got to take a toll, and we shift to the second haunted scene. The next subject is a young man named Simon. Goodman arrived at his house. As she entered, an eerie vibe hit her like a freight train, especially Simon's parents, standing there like zombies, totally frozen. Simon's arrival reminded Goodman to hustle upstairs, but on the way, she noticed a photo on the wall. The photo depicted 3 boys facing a dark hall. Curious, Goodman wiped off the dust, only to uncover a mysterious man wearing a hat. Although the dude looked familiar, Goodman decided not to linger and pressed on to Simon's room. Simon appeared unresponsive as Goodman slowly climbed to the 3rd floor. Suddenly, a figure swept past her, and before she could process, Simon was right behind her saying, "My room's downstairs." Once inside, Goodman noticed the walls were adorned with chilling paintings. She asked Simon who the person was upstairs, but he insisted there was no one up there. Simon said his brother once lived upstairs but married and moved out, leaving no one there. Subtitle: Goodman wasn't buying it at all. She had clearly seen someone walk by. How could she have seen no one? Simon stood up and opened the door, inviting her to check upstairs, glancing at the dark hallway. Goodman, however, changed his mind and decided to stay in a safer place. Simon then resumed recounting the haunting tale, which took place at 3:45 a.m. one fateful night when he sneakily took the car for a class reunion. but without a license. He was just winging it with notes coursing high and low. Midway, his mom called him to lecture him, and right in the middle, the signal dropped. Shortly after, his dad called, giving him an even harsher lecture. But the signal cut off again before he finished. It was beyond awkward, and he didn't want to listen anymore. He sensed something was about to go down. In a panic, he jumped out to check, but instead of a person, he found a goat. Strangely, it had human limbs. This is really a bit embarrassing. He was too lazy to handle it, and as a result, his car ran out of power and stopped right there. What a stroke of good luck amidst misfortune. Subtitles, so make sure not to forget to subscribe to our channel. There are even more supernatural stories waiting for you to uncover.